What is up guys, and welcome back to SP Vids. Now in today's video I decided to have a bit of a change of scene. I was staring down the barrel of doing another week of videos about the SP404 Mark II and I just couldn't bring myself to do every single video about it this week. If you've been watching over the last couple of weeks, I've been relentlessly bringing out videos about the 404 Mark II. So yeah, today just really wanted a change of scene, and I actually had a comment from someone asking about a 303 this week, so I thought I'll get the 303 out and we'll do a little video about this one. So this is obviously one of the legacy models in the SP range, but it is really iconic. It's been used by really famous hip-hop producers and beat makers over the years. Some incredible albums such as Dilla's Donuts has been built on this thing, so it really does have its place in hip-hop history. And I wanted to talk about 5 things that I really like about this device. So I'm hoping this is useful to people that are still looking to pick these up. Obviously from the comments I've seen that people are still hunting around for these. And with the release of the Mark II as well, I'm hoping this kind of mellows out the prices of these older devices, because they're getting ridiculously expensive at the moment. So I'm hoping there's a bit of a flood in the market of these devices when people sell them to be able to buy Mark II, and hopefully the prices come down to a bit more of a normal and affordable level. So yeah, I'm going to talk about 5 things, and hopefully this video is interesting to you guys, and hopefully it's useful to those of you, like I say, that are still looking to pick up legacy devices like this. So the first point that I wanted to mention is the overall look and aesthetic of this device. I think it's really cool the way it looks. I think it's probably one of the best looking SP devices, if not the best. It's got a really clean aesthetic. The 3 colour combination, the red, black and grey, just seems really iconic, and it's nicely laid out. It's very simple, and I love that square kind of boxy feel to it. Everything seems to be at a right angle, and I just really like that kind of design. It's similar to older cars as well. I really like my older cars, especially from the sort of 70s and 80s, because it was before the era of everything going bubbled and all sculpted, and it's just straight angles everywhere, and I really like that aesthetic. The fonts and everything, it just really does have a nice retro feel to it without trying to be a retro looking device. It is an authentically retro looking device, and it sits so well next to devices like the old legacy MPCs. It just looks nice on your desk. So yeah, the first point, I just think this is one of the best looking SPs. And just on the topic of that, I'd love to hear what you guys think is the best one. I know the 202 gets a lot of love for the way it looks, but if you want to leave a comment below and let me know what your favourite looking SP is, I would love to hear what you guys think about that. But for me, it is the SP303. I think it's an amazing looking device. Okay, the second point that I wanted to talk about is the pads. Now, as the 404 series kicked off and became the biggest part of the SP range, the pads really did change. And I think, to be fair to Roland, I think it was because they needed something that was a bit more hard wearing. The 404 is now known for wanting to be taken around to different places. It's a device that definitely gets gigged a lot. So those pads needed to be a bit more hard wearing. So I think that's the reason why on the later models, especially the 404 SX, the pads, when you get them, are really clunky. And they're almost like triggers rather than pads. They're like buttons. But on the 303, there's a very nice vibe to them. They've got this spongy feel, and all of the buttons on this device are the same as well. It's not harder buttons up here, softer buttons down here. They've all just got that nice soft vibe to them, and that just makes finger drumming really nice on this device, and really easy as well, because you just have that nice soft feel under your fingers. I'm not sure in particular why it works so well, because the MPCs have a hard button feel to them as well, and that seems to work for that. But for this particular device, I think that feel of the buttons just works really well. So yeah, really nice feel to them. You could hear there, it was nice and easy to lay down that little drum loop that I was just playing there. So overall, I really rate the pads on this device, and they're similar to the 555 as well, and also the 202. But after that, like I mentioned, things became a bit different because of the need for them to be a bit more hard wearing. So yeah, this is kind of the last of the nice pads in my opinion. Okay, my third point, and this is obviously going to be in the list, it's the vinyl sim compressor. Now, I've spoken about this in a different video, so I won't do a full demo of this in this one. I'll just link to the video in the top right hand corner. But the vinyl sim compression is just amazing. It's an iconic effect, and it just pulls everything together so nicely. So for those of you that don't know, the vinyl sim effect on the SP303, if you press that, you get the crackle, like the 404SX and the later models. You get the flutter as well, which is different, but I don't tend to use the flutter too much on this device. But again, if you go and check out that video which I did about this effect, I explain everything about this in detail. And then the left-hand dial is CNP. Well, it says CNP, but that's obviously an M because they can't do the little bit in the middle. So that's compressor, and for some reason That compressor is just absolutely butter. I don't know why, I don't know what it is about it. It's just the way that it sits in this circuitry or whatever. It just pulls your beats together so nicely. If you get the levels right on your samples and drums before you pump that through this thing, you can expect magic things to happen. This compressor really is up there as one of the best effects in the SP range, I think, and to be honest, it's one of the main reasons why I would recommend this device. I know it's expensive to pay that much just for this effect, but that on top of everything else you get with this device, it's just a must-have in my opinion. That compressor really is one of the best effects on the SP range, and yeah, I use it on a lot of my bigger sounding beats, my more classic hip-hop sounding beats. I always slap some of that compression on and it just pulls everything together really, really nicely. Okay, another thing that I wanted to mention, and again I won't demo this because it will probably take too long, but it's the different sample rates that you get with this device. Now that's one of the things that people have said about the Mark II coming out. There's no choice of sample rates when you're sampling into the box. I think that is something they have really overlooked because it's so nice to actually sample in different rates rather than just try and add an effect on that simulates that. So with the long lo-fi button on the SP303, you get 3 choices basically. So you get standard mode where it's not lit at all. You press it once, you get long, which there isn't too much detail in about these effects to be honest, but it says when long is lit, sampling time is twice that of standard, sound quality is somewhat lower. So not very specific at all, but it gives you a little bit of an idea. But then if you press that button again, now it's flashing, you can see the symbol above there that says lo-fi. So again, the manual is very vague. It says when the long lo-fi button is blinking, a lo-fi sound is created and the sampling time is greatly increased. In terms of the internal memory, you get 31 seconds with standard, you get 63 seconds with long, and with lo-fi you get 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So if you want to save some space and also you want that classic sort of SP1200 feel to your samples, then you've got the option to do that with that lo-fi button. So that lo-fi button is a killer weapon in your beat making arsenal, and I really like using the different sample rates on this device. Okay, my fifth and final point is that the MFX on this device in general are absolutely incredible. Now I touched on this with the vinyl sim compressor, obviously that is the legendary effect on this device, but all the other effects on this device sound absolutely butter. I don't know whether it's just something to do with the circuitry or the way they've been programmed, but for some reason on this particular device, every time I use an effect on it, it just sounds so crisp, but also not artificial, if that makes sense as well. It just sounds natural and nice, and it's what you expect. So I've got some chops in here, I think. And let's say just put some isolator on that. And I'll just use Remain to apply that to all these chops that are in this bank, so that's 1 to 7. And just out of interest, I'll show you the lo-fi effect on this as well, which is MFX 14. So you press the MFX button and turn the dial on this one. You can't use the pads on this device. So yeah, there's some examples of the effects. I don't know what it is about them that's so nice, but as soon as you use them on your samples, they just sound incredible. They sound exactly what you'd like them to be. So huge thumbs up for this device for the effects. They've just got that buttery, awesome feel to them, and they just sound incredible when you put them on your samples. So there you go, guys. That's 5 points about the SP303, which I think are really, really strong selling points. Maybe not the first one, just the looks thing. I think that was just a bit of fun, really, but it does look amazing, this device, I think. So if you're a 303 owner, let me know what your favourite thing is about the device in the comments below as well. Again, let me know about your favourite looking SP in the comments too. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, because I personally think it's the 303 followed by the 202. But if you've got a different opinion, I'd love to hear that. One final thing that I wanted to mention, and I'll do a separate video about this, but I have just released a brand new drum pack. It's called Hip Hop Drums Volume 1. and that's available on my store now. So I'll do a video about this on its own and go into more depth, but it's very much orientated towards people that make straight hip hop, or people that like making beats like MF Doom or golden era hip hop. I've chopped loads of one-shots from drum loops from loads and loads of different records. Go and check that out if you can, it helps support my channel, and I think this is a really, really good pack. The snares sound incredible. There's loads of choice with kicks, there's loads of different kind of textures. There's plenty of hi-hats in there, so there's 16 kicks, 16 snares, 16 hi-hats. And then there's 5 drum fills, which I've found from actual tracks as well. And 5 different kind of old school hip-hop effects as well, which I've just thrown in there, which are just kind of like voice bites, vocal bites and stuff like that. So yeah, if you could go and check that out, I'd really, really appreciate it. I'll be doing a video about that this week, demonstrating some of the sounds from it. But if you do go to SP Vids, there is actually a little example on there of just some drum loops that I've made using the drums in that pack. So I'd really appreciate if you could go and check that out, and thank you very much to everyone that's picked that up so far. It really is a massive help. But apart from that, guys, that's everything for this video. That was the SP303. It was nice to have a little bit of a change of scene. I will be back on the Mark II videos this week, later in the week, so stay tuned for those. And yeah, keep making beats. I'll be back with more content very soon. Peace!